Good morning, guys. It is Sunday, March the 19th. And, yesterday I got to spend the day talking with another alcoholic. And, throughout our conversation, it dawned on me how I used to lie to myself. I used to lie to other people. I was just a liar. And basically, I wasn't meaning to lie. What was really happening was I was trying to rationalize my decisions for drinking. And bear with me, I'll take you back and try to walk you through this. 9 years ago, when I first came into the rooms of AA, very first time I ever walked into an AA room, I heard them talking about these steps and this whole thing of God, and I was going, yeah, that's not who I am. That's not for me. The God I was raised with didn't want me, in my mind. So I didn't want nothing to do with this God thing. So you know what? I don't have a drinking problem. I have a management problem. I just needed to learn to manage my alcoholism, and therefore I wouldn't be an alcoholic. If I could manage my drinking, wouldn't be an alcoholic. And so that was probably 2013-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. 2014. Somewhere in I think it's 2013. So yeah, 10 years actually. And so anyway, that was when the idea was born in my mind that I didn't have a drinking problem. I had a management problem. I just needed to learn to control my drinking. And I remember I that's how I got sober that time, is I literally went and bought a bottle of whiskey, set it on my countertop, and every time something bad would happen, I would think it was like 3 days sober at that time, and I got pulled over, and was written a ticket by a deputy sheriff, and I came home, and first thing I did was start reaching for that bottle, and I was like, nope. I slapped my hand, and that worked. That worked for about 3-4 years, something like that. I didn't need this God thing, didn't need these steps thing, didn't need any of that stuff. It was all mumbo jumbo. So again, I had mastered the whole discipline thing. I had mastered the whole management thing. I could control my alcoholism because I was an alcoholic. I could control my drinking because I was an alcoholic. And so I lived like that for about 3-4 years, and lo and behold, there was one point where I broke a rib, took a drink just to alleviate the pain of my broken rib, and it went downhill from there. I realized that I'd been convincing myself of a lie over the course of that 3 or 4 years that I was sober. And when I took up that first drink, man, it exploded big time in a big way. And I reverted back to that lie that I convinced myself of back in 10 years ago. I don't have a drinking problem. I have a management problem. And so from 2017 forward up to 21, that's what I told my family. I don't have a drinking problem. I have a management problem. I just need to learn to manage it better. I got lazy. I'm not as disciplined as what I was. I would make excuses. I would argue this case. And matter of fact, I remember saying to him, here, let me show you how well I can manage it. And sure enough, I'd take a drink or two and be like, no, I'm good. And then the very next morning, I was drinking again. And that same night, I was drinking again. I proved myself wrong. I proved my argument to be untrue, to be false. It had nothing to do with a management problem. It had everything to do with a drinking problem. But since 2017, I just kept trying to argue that point to my wife, to my kids, to my family, anybody who asked me. I didn't have a drinking problem. I had a management problem. But yet every time I would try to show them and prove to them that it was just a simple management problem, I failed every single time, and I could never win that argument. And so by early 2021. I came into the rooms. Well, actually, no. By early 2021, I just stopped arguing. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do have a drinking problem, and I'm okay with it. I remember telling somebody that I like to drink because I like the way it makes me feel, and I'm going to keep drinking because that's what I want to do, because I'm allowed to do it. And true, that part was true. I'm allowed to drink. I'm allowed to make that choice. But there comes along with that choice repercussions. And those, I didn't want the repercussions. I just wanted the choice to drink, but I didn't want the responsibility of my drinking. So coming into 2021, I knew that I'd proven myself wrong. I knew that I'd proven that I did have a drinking problem. I knew that I'd proven it, so I just stopped arguing. I finally just stopped arguing. And about a month before I stopped, it was probably around June of 21, June of 21, I remember just like checking a box, man, in my head. And I said, you know what? If somebody asks me if I'm drinking, I'm going to tell them the truth. Yeah, I'm drinking. Absolutely. I stopped trying to lie. And this is before I got sober. I was still drinking at this point. I stopped trying to lie. I just started telling the truth, sort of. I'd say, yeah, I was drinking. How much were you drinking? About half a liter, when it was really like 2 liters or whatever. So, you know, my family, my son especially, he'd come in the middle of the night, well, 8 o'clock at night, and he'd be like, Dad, why are you drinking? Oh, son, I'm sorry, you know, and I'll promise I'll stop. Again, I just got to do better at managing it. I got my kids to believe it, or thought I did. They didn't. I got my wife to believe it. I thought I did. I didn't. No one believed me because they had seen with their own eyes that I could not manage my drinking. I was the last person to figure that out, though. And it wasn't until I came into the rooms of AA that I saw, and I started working the steps. I found myself a sponsor, started working the steps, and I saw what had really been going on all those years. I was lying to myself. I was arguing with myself. My wife and my kids, my family, everybody stopped believing me. The only person I was arguing with was me. And I spent all that time arguing with me over something that I couldn't do, trying to convince myself. I spent more time trying to convince myself that I had a management problem and not a drinking problem than I did my wife and my kids. My wife and my kids, they stopped believing me long ago. You know, I spent the better part of that time, trying to convince myself that I didn't have a drinking problem. And that only kept me in the madness that much longer. So coming into the rooms, that was one of the first things I realized is I'd been lying to myself. And I needed the people like my sponsor and his sponsor to tell me, you've been trying to bullshit yourself and it ain't working anymore. You're going to have to reach a point in your life, and you may be there now, you may not, but you're going to reach a point in your life where you need to make a decision. And it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, but you need to make a decision. And thank God for the rooms of AA, because in July of 2021, July the 5th was when I took my last drink. You know, July the 6th, my first day of sobriety, and I haven't looked back. Here we are 20 months later, and I don't miss it a bit. You know, for the longest time, it was hard for me to imagine, I couldn't imagine what it would have been like to stop drinking. And now, I can't imagine what it would be like to start drinking again. That's how far removed it has been from me. So I'm just thankful for the rooms of AA, and I wanted to share that with you this morning, and just tell you guys that you know, you all keep me sober. Getting to visit with some of you guys yesterday, Eric especially, you know, you guys keep me sober, and that's how the program works. You know, we work with other alcoholics to keep ourselves sober. And so I just want to encourage you, be on the lookout. It's easy to tell ourselves lies. It's easy to convince ourselves, oh, no, this will be okay. This will be okay. That's the first step towards a relapse. So always be on guard, always be on the lookout. So anyway, with that, I'll let you guys go. I hope you guys enjoy your Sunday. And just remember, guys, you cannot get drunk if you don't take that first drink.